7 ways to create content like a boss. And Bali is the ultimate content creator's dream. From rice fields to beautiful beaches, to cliffs, to swings, to waterfalls. It is the ultimate content creator's dream. So whether you are creating content, courses, community, Bali has something for everyone. And in this episode, we are diving deep into 7 ways to create content like a boss. And if you haven't checked out my previous series on this in Portugal, in Mexico, and other destinations around the world, definitely hit that subscribe button and check out my playlists, check out my blogs, and more. So let's get into the first one that is all about how content is queen. Let's talk about blogging like a boss. Long form content is queen. Blogging lets you express yourself with the written word, and almost every time I create content, I start with a blog. Whether it's writing it, whether it's using tech, whether it's a combination of both. And for example, if you haven't checked out my top 10 Bali things to do, you are definitely missing out. I created it initially after 2 months of being in Bali. Then I updated it after being in Bali over 5 months last year. Then I'll be updating it again. It has so many amazing things for Bali, like tips and places to go and create content in Ubud, in Uluwatu, in Canggu, the best wellness places, unique wellness experiences to do in Bali, amazing adventures to do, Ubud day trips, amazing places to hang out, cliffside in Uluwatu, and a lot more. And that blog has been gaining traction. And here's the thing, you guys, with long form content and blogging like a boss, the queen, is it's amazing when you create it to be evergreen. Like a blog like Top 10 Things to Do in Bali is evergreen for people that come to Bali for the first time, people that return to Bali. Not only that, but I have a top 10 series for cities and countries all around the world. So recently, for example, I noticed when looking at my Google Analytics that my top 10 Bacalar things to do in Mexico has been exploding. And I wrote that over 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm not exactly sure why, it says organic traffic source, but clearly a lot more people are desiring to go to Bacalar, and clearly my blog is trending. So that's an example. So let me know and comment down below if you blog, if you've been thinking about blogging, what are some of your questions, and let's talk about the next form of content and creating content like a boss. And actually, before we do that, also, if you haven't checked out my Creator Bestie store on Shopify, I have an amazing Bali guide, as well as creator templates and more, and that will be in the link in the show notes and a link down below. So let's continue to create it. So next up on long form content is, of course, videos. And in Bali, there are so many amazing places where you can film long form videos, like your private villa stays, like what I'm doing right now, like co-working spaces. Although let me say this too, if you are filming at a co-working space, please be extra courteous. I've noticed lately a lot of digital nomads will have full-blown meetings virtually, super loud, in the midst of 10, 20, 30 people that are clearly trying to have a quiet co-working peaceful experience in the middle of a co-working space, in the middle of rice fields, and here come 2, 3, 4, 5 people, having a super loud meeting, both in real life and then projecting it online. So, look for a quiet space that is apart from others as a nomad, especially because, we don't want to look and be assholes, okay? Or consider having that meeting, that gathering, that workshop at a private villa, so that you control the energy, you control the quiet, and you don't, invest in that time for yourself to create content, as well as not disturb others when you're doing that long form experience. And And I've just noticed it a lot lately. So I definitely, it's definitely different than it was last year. So co-working spaces are amazing. Private villas are amazing. On top of that, doing it at places like One Edge Bali with the One Edge Bali is cliffside with an incredible pool, and you can do day passes as well. So those are some incredible examples, as well as Kind Cafe. Kind Cafe is in Seminyak and Chingu, I believe. It's beautiful aesthetic for the female creators with pinks. And especially if you go early in the day, there's usually not anyone there. When I went, myself and Sophie, a friend I met in Gili Air from France, we did film some quick short form content, and some time lapses. So we didn't really film long form content. However, it can definitely be conducive to that too. So tell me, are you filming long form content? Have you started your YouTube channel? Because the thing is, you guys, and you'll hear me say this over and over and over again, is create it. Nike says just do it. I say create it. So let's talk about short form content. So one of my favorite songs back in the day to dance to was, you might remember, Shot, 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 Shots. So lately, I keep hearing in my head, short, 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 shorts, kind of a tongue twister. So Bali especially is an amazing destination for short form content, whether it is adventures like the Bali swing, getting dressed up in the beautiful pink dress, waterfalls, taking an Ubud day trip through rice fields, through waterfalls, and at the rice fields, including the Bali swing, and creating incredible short form content with locals. That was one of my biggest amazing surprises that I had when I came to Bali the first time. Is not only did I get to experience the ultimate Ubud day trip with a visit to the rice fields, with the Bali swing, with a fuchsia bright pink dress, with visiting Kantalampa Waterfall, Tibumana Waterfall, Goa Gajah. I also got and met two incredible videographers, and also many, many destinations in Bali. Whether you go on a day trip or not, they have incredible videographers on site. Like, they've learned to do incredible things with their phones, like Wayan Elite, who I met at Kantalampo the first time I came to Bali via the Ubud day trip with Rai. He and his skills like blew me away with what he did at Kantalampa Waterfall. And since then, I've used him countless times for content to create with my own social media platforms, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, as well as for brands and paid work like Amazon, like Expedia, and others as well. And banking content, having 30, 60, 90 days in drafts easily. So tell me what you're doing to create short form content. What platforms are you going on? How are you batching content? Comment down below.
So, if you want to dive even deeper into 7 ways to create content like a boss, I definitely recommend you head on over to the blog that's linked in the show notes, because I hyperlink a lot. And before I get into podcasting like a boss and podcasting in paradise, I want to cover a couple highlights that you'll see. So you can see my Bali Top 10 guide is linked, my Creator to CEO, how to create an online course in a week. And also I have an incredible free webinar, different things about digital nomad life, elevating your content, like my Launch Like a Boss 5-step launch blog and series. And then my prior Content Like a Boss in Portugal. So we covered and went through long form content with blogging. I covered several of these. And speaking of Nirvana Life and TT Batu, you definitely want to head on over to my incredible video, Nirvana Life versus TT Batu and the best gyms in Bali. And if you're listening on the podcast, my YouTube channel is at Limitless Global Girl on YouTube. So, filming and editing like a pro, I did want to mention that recently I invested in two different things. One is Loom, which, if you're watching this on YouTube, hi, you see me in the corner. If you're listening on the show, what Loom is, it's an incredible uh, tool to edit and record in different ways, or rather record it in different ways. And one of the ways I wanted to add into my videos was to have a circle of me as I shared something behind the screens, as I did a screencast, because before it was either face to face or like a superimposed or side by side, or either just behind the scenes or just face to face. And I wanted to have both because I saw different creators like Maria Went and others do this, and I really, really liked it. And then I also did things like this in the past in corporate America with a different tool when I did trainings. When I was an executive, when I was a chief audit executive, and set up trainings for 3,000 plus people for 4 weeks in a row. That's a whole nother crazy story. With a lot of adventure. So I invested in Loom, and then I also invested in CapCut on my desktop because they wanted to piecemeal different videos, and then I wanted to have even better effects. So in the past, I was using solely Splice app on my phone, as well as UCam and VidShop, which are great for short form. But then, like, I like to keep my phone really, really clear and typically under 100 videos and photos. Although sometimes, like today, when I'm creating content, it'll get up to 200-ish, or if I have a short form batch creating day or an adventure or a workshop, it'll get up to 300, 400, depending. But then my very next thing is to clear, 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 edit, 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 and then, shift the content, scale it, etc. So CapCut. And then on the film and edit like a pro, if you haven't yet checked out my how to write a brand proposal, definitely check that out on the blog, on the podcast, on my YouTube channel, and my incredible brand proposal template on Honeybook, as well as my ClickUp template, my project management template, my creator CRM that I created that ties to my creator dashboard, that you can not only track brand pitches, but I also have a content calendar CRM-ish, like helps you organize your content. And it ties to the dashboard where you can track all your metrics as a creator. You can track what's in pipeline. You can track, so on my dashboard, you can check out my previous videos on 10 creator templates and also on the podcast. And then coming up, I'll also do some behind the scenes with my templates where you see the actual dashboard and behind the scenes. I just got distracted because I see a cat climbing on this thatch / bamboo roof out of the corner of my eye. And yes, this is real. I'm in Bali filming right now in Ubud. So this is not a background like some people do. You can see it in my other videos in the 7 ways, or earlier in the 7 ways to create content like a boss. So this is real. So also, creating workshops for creators. I have those in Bali coming up, and I mentioned those towards the end of the video. You can see that, as well as the creator retreats I've hosted in the past in Cuba, in Barcelona, in Costa Rica. You can see a behind the scenes amazing video in Cuba that I creatively directed and that was created by Weekend Voyagers. And then also with long form video, I wanted to mention, which I did not mention earlier, I did an amazing collaboration, which is also featured on the How to Write a Brand Proposal video, as well as on the blog, with the Bali agent when I was here last year. And I have some amazing behind the scenes videos on my YouTube channel, and then as you see embedded here as well. And you can find all of those on my Bali playlist. And so I stayed with 3 different villas with them. Villa Domi, which was a 1-bedroom indoor-outdoor villa. Villa Senya, which was a 2-story, 3-bedroom villa. All of them had private pools, absolutely incredible. And then this one you see Native Living Villa, which is a 2-house villa that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bedrooms. So it's incredible for a retreat, and it may be the one that we use for the retreat. I'm also reaching out to other brands to collaborate and partner with as well, with real estate and different things in Bali. So on filming short form and long form and then batching content, I have an incredible series I filmed on my YouTube channel, I think in 2022. And I recently updated the title to the first one to 2025. So I'm testing different titles and searchability in YouTube as I am also focused on monetizing and scaling and growing that. And we talked about the short form videos. I mentioned the incredible Ubud day trip, the perfect eye-catching visual for long form and short form videos. During that day alone, you guys, I filmed over 5 long form videos as far as the content for that, and over 30 reels. So like that alone was worth the day trip. And side note, that is part of our creator retreats, and some of those videographers we reuse on other content creation as well. You can see several examples of that on my Instagram, on my YouTube, as well as on examples of some of those videographers and what they did with some of the work I've done with Amazon, with Google, with Expedia too. So here you can see the most beautiful waterfall in Bali, and clips like this picture. These images are done by YN Elite, which I mentioned earlier that I've done a lot of work with him. And then here's the Love, Create, Play behind the scenes of the Cuba retreat, and I added some images from Bali as well. And so let's get into podcasting from paradise and recording from Bali's most inspiring spots. So right now, I'm not even using a mic because I'm in quiet space. I know you'll hear some ambiance probably from, the pool, whatever, but I know it's relatively quiet. However, I also have 2 different types of mics. So let me show you one of them. So one of them, I have this incredible wireless mic, and I got it on TikTok Shop with my repurposed content, which we'll talk about that in a bit. I was TikTok Shop qualified, but then they changed it after a couple months, so I'm not yet again. So with my repurposed content and sharing content on TikTok several times a week, I'm focusing on that. So also follow me there, Creator Bestie or Miss Creator Bestie. So I got these off TikTok Shop and have videos filmed and sharing them and in drafts on TikTok for when I am TikTok Shop qualified again, because they're really amazing. So I found them on TikTok Shop, but they're also on Amazon. They are wireless lavalier microphones, and shockingly, I know I got them in pink, and they have 2 different types of mic covers, like this one and this one. Wait, where am I there? And they're super easy to use. You can easily plug and play and charge them with your Mac, different things. It's not coming out right now. But you can see right here, like this little doohickey or whatever you want to call it, goes into the bottom adapter, I guess, goes into the bottom of your phone, so that when you're using mics to film long form vertical videos, like short form videos, then you easily just plug it in. You can use the mic like this, or earlier in the video you saw I was using the clip-on, which in the past I hadn't had as good luck with my previous wireless mics on clip-ons, but I tested these and they're really, really good before I filmed the different pieces. And then I also have a lavalier mic with you probably just heard the horse. There's a horse next door. The lavalier mic that I can plug into my Mac. And many times when I'm filming in places that maybe aren't so quiet, but there's nobody around me, so I'm extra mindful of that. But there's ambient music noise, or I just want the audio to be really, really, really good. Like in Nirvana Life or in TT Batu, I'll go off to the side where there's no one there, and then I'll use the lavalier mic, because these run out of juice sometimes faster. So I'm mindful of that. Like, did I charge them? Did I not? Is it going to go out? Because that happened to me before twice. So I just use the lavalier mic. So a lot of people think when you podcast or because they've seen people's super fancy schmancy setups that you need to go to a studio or you need to have like the super fancy mic. And, I've in the past, when I first started my show, Creators and CEOs Create It Like a Boss, on iTunes, on Spotify. Side note, thank you guys. It got top 100 in 2023. So thank you, thank you, thank you. When I first started podcasting during the pandemic, I literally would go, like, I heard Jenna Kutcher talk about this. I would go in my freaking closet because she's like, the sound there is great, the ambiance is great. She's like, if anything, just invest in a lavalier mic. She's like, my first XYZ amount of time, and she has millions of downloads on her podcast now. She's like, I used my closet and I used a lavalier. So like, I loved her simple, um, budget friendly approach and just like start with where you are and go. Or one time I remember I was a guest on a podcast, and this is when I got introduced to Anchor, which got bought out by Spotify. I ended up doing a guest feature on literally recording on my phone, which was amazing. So I was like, okay, simple, easy, right? And so you don't need fancy schmancy. Yes, it's fun to have the whole setup, but like as someone that travels the world, and in with a carry-on, it's not really conducive for me to also have a big mic, which I did have at first when I first left US the first time to travel 2+ years through Central America and to Costa Rica. But then I quickly realized I was barely using it. It was super annoying to pack. It was easier for me to just whip out the lavalier or just talk to my phone. So I ended up, I think, giving it to someone. Although it is fun to record it, at a studio. So the next time I come to Bali, I'm probably going to look for a studio just to see, because I love the short form clips that I see Maria Went do with the big mic and the podcast setup, or Jasmine Star, or I did record at a podcasting studio, which was super adorable, at Bakery Cowork in Atlanta. And I created some amazing content there. I'll drop the video, my 7 ways to make 7K in 7 days. I recorded in their podcasting studio that's like super pink, blues, greens, pastels, all my vibes. And I also created short form clips that I've shared and reshared on Instagram, because you guys, 3% of your audience will see your content the first time, so likely people didn't see it. Then you have new followers. And then I'm testing and running Instagram ads and repurposing them this year, because I noticed the huge shift in reach and different things. So, of course, I'm creating organically. Hello, case in point. At the same time, I also am sharing and resharing. And speaking of organic, let me drop my bubble self, my cute self, in the middle, because when I use Opus Clip, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, um, it'll clip off of where I am. And if I'm on the side, it won't clip certain things. So, 7 ways to create content like a boss. We have covered one, content is queen with blogging like a boss. We have covered long form video content. We have covered short form content and different ideas and thoughts to create locations and destinations in Bali. That is the ultimate content creator's dream. And number 4, podcasting in paradise, and how to keep it simple. Use a lavalier mic, use a wireless mic, and then places I have filmed and recorded: Nirvana Life, TT Batu, private villas like this one at Ubud Sawa, my fave place in Ubud so far. So it allows you to really, podcasting is amazing because it allows you to really tap into your voice. One of my core values is freedom. And with that, when I really started to journal and dive in what that meant to me, it's freedom in all forms. It's freedom in time, in location, in community, in expression, hello, and in financial, which I am continuing to create in the first 4 areas and then focusing on right now in finance. So not there yet. There's a whole story on mess to message, chaos to clarity, all the things. So you can share in podcasting your journey, your strategies, things you've overcome. I always say, like, speak with what you know, and also determine freely what you share and when you share it. So there's things I share avidly that I've overcome, like my weight loss journey, like traveling the world, like developing income streams, like the ultimate marketing flow, like brand proposals, like working with Expedia, Google, etc. But there's things I'm not fully sharing yet, because here's the thing that I've learned. When A, you have the freedom on what you share and when you share. B, when you share publicly, you are opening up to people's opinions. And I've said this for years, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. And oftentimes, when we are in a vulnerable state, or in a transition state, or in a transformation state, and we're like, here's point A, here's point Z, and let's say we're here, we chapter 10 out of say 100, or chapter 10 out of 20, we don't yet have the full picture sometimes. And sometimes I share along the way, like this is sharing along the way, right? Um, at the same time, sometimes when we know it's a vulnerable state and we open up the doorway for those voices and those opinions, and we might not yet be ready to respond or even know how to respond yet, because pieces of our life, our story, often seems so crazy we're in the middle of it. So give yourself the freedom to share pieces of what aligns for you. At the same time, don't overcomplicate. Create. Nike says just do it. I say create it. Okay. So other things that you can do on your podcast, and then you can also repurpose this. You can do this on directly on YouTube, like this video will be, right? And on the podcast. And I'm taking the exact video as is on this and then simply repurposing it for audio for the podcast. But you hear me talking about all the time to the podcast listeners or those that are on social media that might get a clip of this repurposed. If you want to see the full video with all the visuals and behind the scenes, go to my YouTube channel at Limitless Global Girl. And speaking of my podcast, here it is right now. Here's some art I created with AI for my upcoming NFT community. I repurposed it for the cover of the podcast and then renamed it last year, Creators Create It Like a Boss with Katrina and Julia. So the other thing you can do is interview different entrepreneurs and digital nomads. I've seen some amazing channels recently, like the School of Hard Knocks, that inspired me, that I realized, like, oh, the next time I go to a live event, whether it's in Bali or in the United States, like with Herbalife Global Nutrition, I should absolutely have my wireless mics and randomly, not randomly, intentionally interview people and say, like, for example, if I'm in Bali and I'm in TT Batu later today, and I often connect with people at TT Batu or Nirvana Live and say, you know what? Hey, I'm recording some episodes for my podcast. I would love to ask you a couple questions. Are you open to that? And then have them use a wireless mic. Nothing complicated, super simple. And the plugin is plugged into my phone, and there's dual mics. So the audio will sound great, regardless of if they're playing music or not. We can go off to the side and then ask them, are you visiting Bali, on vacation or work? Are you working here? Are you a digital nomad? What do you do as a creator? How many times have you been at TT Batu, Nirvana Life, whatever the case is, right? And so I see, that creator do that also at events like high-end entrepreneurial events. He interviewed, I don't know his name, it's School of Hard Knocks, because I keep thinking of the title of the channel. Or I can't think of his name. I knew it when I was listening last week, but I've listened to so much content since then with Layla Hermosi and Alex Hermosi that my brain is focused on that right now. But in any event, he went, School of Hard Knocks is his channel. And I remember he was at a high-end mastermind, I think for 8, 9-figure entrepreneurs. And he was interviewing people like Damon John with FUBU, and it's been on Shark Tank. Side note, love that show. Also Marcus Lemonis, which if you haven't watched the show The Prophet, I highly recommend it, even reruns. And he asked them questions, who are you? What do you do? How much money did you make last year? How many companies did you run? And I remember one guy he asked, I can't even remember his name right now because it was like the fourth guy. And he wasn't someone super known, but, 9-figure net worth. And when he asked him, how many companies does he run? I just remember he said 86 companies. And I was like, and the guy seemed super calm, super chill. And he's like, listen, it's all about systems. And he's like, it's all about team. And it's all about tech. It's all about systems. He's like, I have amazing people that run the company. I have a dashboard. This is why I talk about dashboards so much, you guys. Project management. I have a dashboard and I keep track, I keep a pulse. And beyond that, I have amazing people and I have tech and I have systems. And he said it like nothing. He said it 86 companies like it was one, like a lot of people say, or like 90% of people say, oh, I work one job or I work two jobs, etc. So interviewing Bali-based entrepreneurs and nomads, and then also repurposing into engaging short-form videos. So I've alluded to that with using Opus Clip. I love Opus Clip. If you haven't jumped into my creator circle, the link is in the show notes. 75 tips, tools, and tech, and one of the 75 plus tips, tools, and tech is Opus Clip. I have amazing freebie offers, promos, all the things. And also, I use an app called Headliner that automatically will repurpose when I post on iTunes. It'll clip and post automatically in audio form also to YouTube. So the circular velocity, like Brendan Burchard says. I've also been an avid student of his since 2016-ish, I think. So just so you guys know, I don't um, preach about anything that I don't practice, or like they say, practice what you preach. So my pro tip for podcasting is rent a private villa for high quality audio, or go to a space like Nirvana Life for a quiet, serene vibe. Bring a lavalier mic, a wireless mic, or if you want the cool content, look for a studio where you can use a super fancy mic. And if you do listen to the podcast, you guys, I have amazing 5-star reviews. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I would love it if you'd leave a review, and I'll shout you out on my socials and tag you. And you also get entered to win my monthly giveaway for the multi-passionate bundle that you can find in the link in the show notes, with my 7-day challenge, a transformation toolkit, and all my ebooks. So number 5 is content creation with automation and tech. So AI content creation, we're talking about automation in general. Some of my best and favorite spots here for Bali is private villas, quiet space, uninterrupted like this. TT Batu, you heard me talk about it, although I recommend if you do it there, go in the morning and or get a quiet spot off to the side somewhere, and definitely bring your mics. Nirvana Life is bigger, so you have more spacing there. And then co-working spots too beyond that I've been to, like Outpost. Rice fields are great places if you hop on over to a cafe like Ayas Alas Harum in Ubud as well. There's an amazing coffee club. It's if you Google Coffee Club Ubud, and I've shared it on my Instagram before too, and I believe it's in my top 10 Bali things to do. It has a 2-tiered pool, and it's also really, really serene, especially early in the day, and has an amazing infinity pool on the edge of rice fields. I went the last time I was here. Then number 6, scaling content and automating and monetizing. So depending on what you're doing, like short form content, different, the wellness clubs like TT Batu or Nirvana can be great, and or some of the beach clubs that are more chill. Fins gets louder after like 1 or 2, but I went a couple of times, 2 or 3 times my first time in Bali. So scaling content is all about creating with more intention. And maybe, for example, sure, if you want to go live 3, 4, 5 times a week to really explode your channel, which is something I may do. And I'm thinking of adding a Create With Me live segment, or making it pre-recorded, but then restream. However, you can also scale smart. So when I say that, it's about creating, thinking about the titles of your videos, thinking about the engagement of your audience, asking them about your titles, freeing up your time, and also receiving and earning more. So Bali offers the perfect environment, as you see, to automate and monetize and set up, different income streams, as well as automate with tools like Kajabi. I love Kajabi because right now, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, a million people can be diving into my creator circle, my free creator toolkit, my blog, my podcast, my YouTube channel, my socials, my opt-ins like Creator Confessions, my newsletter, while I'm speaking to you, while I'm recording this. That's all that is scaled. Or can be buying, my intro bundle. I'm running ads on that right now. I shared it in stories yesterday. DMing me on Instagram, commenting on my Instagram with mini chat, and they're getting serviced in my voice because I typed out those automated DMs. So they're in my voice. So they can be purchasing and I can be receiving money for the intro bundle, for the creator bundle I mentioned earlier, for my creator templates where you get access to all of my templates for $333 currently lifetime, over 10 templates in ClickUp, in Notion, in Canva, in Honeybook, the list goes on, and or my creator school where you get lifetime access to creator school with all of my courses, all of my templates, all of my ebooks, the challenge, all the things for $9.97 currently lifetime access with any new additions. So all that's automated. Not to mention content like this, it's thinking about how do you scale and batch content. Then how are you using ChatGPT to free up your time? You guys, last year I added, because of the use of ChatGPT, I asked her, I call her because she's also my bestie. I asked her, like, how much time did I save and or create using you? Literally, she added 2 weeks to my life last year with the use of using her. And I predominantly used her last year for blogs, for emails, for social. This year, I predominantly used her in those 3 ways, but there was 10 specific ways I used her that I'm going to share in an upcoming blog, upcoming video, upcoming email. This year, I've exploded my use with her from all of that to 100 different ways I'm using her. Literally, like that's going to be the title of my video because I'm using her like over 100 different ways. So I'm repeatedly asking her like weekly, monthly, like how much time she's saving me, and or I compare what it used to take me to do a task versus now what it's taking with ChatGPT. Then I'm scaling it with ChatGPT and a VA on certain key tasks that are not my core. My core is creating, expressing with my voice, strategizing my courses, my marketing flow, which if you haven't checked out the Ultimate Marketing Flow blog, video, podcast, you need to go check that out, like run, because all that and this one is like changes your life. And scheduling content. So I've talked about AI. I've talked about automation, like with Kajabi. And then the thing is that I'm taking content a step further into the next 2 to 3 weeks, and content, not just content in every way. So my business to business outreach right now is pre-scheduled over 90 days, and then I'm about to hand off key elements to a VA. My emails and launches are pre-scheduled over 30 days. My next goal is 90 days. And I've also already outlined that task and the previous task on B2B with screenshots to hand it over to my VA. Then so I have over easily 70 drafts in Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc. So my next step is to clear that, schedule that. The main platform I post on mainly is Instagram, and all of that gets repurposed via an incredible tool called repurpose.io, which I also have listed in the 75 tips, tools, and tech. You can find the link in the show notes or the link in the video description, etc. Because it's all about you guys scaling and freeing up your time so that you always feel like you have more than enough, and then you're ready to automate, delegate, hand off to a VA, to a project manager, to an online launch manager, to a retreat leader. Like all of that is in my brain for what's next. Oh my God, a beautiful butterfly just passed by, and they're my spirit animals. So every time they come, which I've seen a lot lately, I'm like, thank you. I received that divine download that I'm on the right track. And so my next step along those lines, because all that is in place, and those are things that could free up your time massively and then scale your content if you're not there yet, is I found a beautiful template on Etsy, which I am going to give credit to the creator. There's like 3 I'm contemplating behind to add in simply like like basically like Canva templates. And then once I configure them to align, which I'm going to talk about in a second, to line up launches, and lining up launches like a boss is scaling that to a VA to line up to exactly to the blogs, to the videos, to emails, and then to social media across my Katrina Julia Fit Life Creation, two Creator Bestie accounts, and Limitless Global Girl. So I'm testing different things and scaling them as joint reels all the time between those pages, so that it feels like flow. So again, check out the Ultimate Marketing Flow on my YouTube channel, Limitless Global Girl, on the blog, on the podcast, depending where you're tuning in from. So, and then again, plan, and do the content at a private villa, and then start to program it out. So my next goal is to take social and have it out 30 to 90 days on every single platform within Planoly, beyond Instagram, and have those drafts cleared ASAP. And I'm typically posting, depends. I post between 7 to 14 times a week, depends. And then I share stories, and of course I mention the ads. So lining up your launches like a boss. So some of the incredible spots that I didn't talk about yet is Uluwatu and Nusa Dua. So I also have videos on the playlist of Uluwatu. Padang Padang Beach is such a vibe. That is also the beach where I filmed incredible content with YN Elite that I talked about earlier. And then also where we go as one of our adventure days during the creator retreats. It's also the beach where Julia Roberts / Elizabeth Gilbert, that wrote the book Eat, Pray, Love, went with her love. And then Nusa Dua is an incredible resortish beach town that I stayed a month last year in a 2-story loft that I loved. So it's, Bali is simply an incredible place to create content, courses, and community in paradise. And that you can line up your launches from, B2B brands, business to business, to blogs. Organize your thoughts, start to set up your blogs, and or start with the spoken word on video and or podcast, and then scale that, from either video to podcast. So that's B2B, that's long form blog, that's long form video, that's long form podcast, that's AI and automation, that's scaling, content, marketing, and monetizing, and then lining up your launches. And keep in mind, you guys, you are coming to me. If this is your first time listening to me, you are coming to me. Even when I was in corporate as an executive, I always had side hustles. I was like the side hustle queen before that was even a thing on social media. So I always had side hustles, literally, even in college. Like I was in college, and then I was working at a credit union, and then I was president or vice president of 3 organizations. So, I mean, if you equate that, that's like, 5 different hustles, right, at the time. Because for me, I learned that's when I would thrive the most and focus the most, because I had to. Because it was like, okay, I refuse to have anything less than straight A's, 3.7 GPA. I refuse to be anything less than best of the best, like how I was, with the credit union at the time, and, rookie of the year. I refuse to have anything less than excellent standards with Millennium Models, the organization I helped co-found and I was the founder of with 2 of my besties, Angela and Janelle. And Janelle is now an angel in heaven since 2014. And it's still in existence today. So I say that to say, that's part of the past. Then I worked in 7+ industries. I went to grad school, have my MBA CPA, which, side note, if I was a teenager now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say it, and I'm probably going to do a video on it. I would not go to college, because I already had the project management, the focus, the multi-passionate aspect in college. But in a sense, college helped bring it out of me. But then certain things didn't exist like they exist now, like the content creation, like YouTube and the creator opportunities, like Instagram, this, all the tech, the tools, the automation, Kajabi. And so for me, like, I love looking at creators. In my upcoming blog, you're going to see this. I love looking at creators like Jenny Hoyas that has been killing it on YouTube with millions of views on every single short. She has over 1 billion views, I think, on her channel. Mr. Beast, and others, because I'm like, oh my God, like, you're confirming what I believe. So, um, I don't regret college because I love the memories I created and it was perfect for my journey and the timing and then going through corporate. However, we live in a different time. And if it was me now, I would be creating on YouTube now, like Jenny. I would be gamifying and like I'm creating now myself, et cetera, like learning, figuring out all the things, creating, content, creating courses, creating community, and using incredible tools like ClickUp, like Kajabi, and the 75 plus that I share. So, when you light up the launches, you want to think about all those aspects, then, the different content pieces into then podcasting, into automation, AI, scaling, marketing, and monetizing into your offers. So you've heard me talk about freebies like the creator circle. So like the organic, like I'm inviting you into my world as creator, as your creator bestie that talks about faith, wellness, wealth, marketing, business, travel, communities, right? All the things that I love to share that are part of my passion and purpose, so that are authentically me. And those lead into the freebies, like the creator circle, the creator toolkit. Those lead into my intro, a bundle, the multi-passionate bundle, my creator bundle. So $27 into $77 into $333 into then the $997 creator school, and then brands that desire to work with me ongoing as a freelancer, as a chief marketing officer, as a content creator, as a CFO. And oftentimes I find, because of my skill set, because of my experience, I work with brands as a hybrid. Like I had a role the beginning of last year where I worked with Crochet Bridal, and it was like a CFO slash CMO, because I understand and work and constantly educate myself in both pieces, right? So it's figuring out where you serve and where you create value. And so typically with brands, the way I position and or offer to them immediately, regardless of how they find me, is, okay, great. Yes, maybe I can work with you like this, but are you willing to consider this, which I'm going to talk about in an upcoming blog, video, podcast. And also I pitch them on ongoing work. So basically, monthly and or quarterly, with a slight reduced rate, and or annually. And then ideally also where they want to not only co-create content, but also communities with live events and retreats, like with our creator retreats. And I have an incredible blog post coming next week, and a video and podcast on Super Bowl ads versus influencer marketing. Like, you're not going to want to miss that. It's going to be amazing. So pro tip, plan, as a creator, set up your flow, set up your brand and or online aspects, and don't apologize for changing it, because I see in the future, like, things are going to change with my platforms, especially as I desire to in the future, like as I get results, help more entrepreneurs and invest in scale in them. Like, I love what Layla and Alex are doing and have created. So plan workshops for creators and our creator retreats in Paradise, and leverage brands. And I understand more and more and more what a lot of creators like them and Jasmine Star say, like, sell to the rich. Because oftentimes, like, I have a heart to serve at the free level, obviously, at low end, because I know what it's like. I've been there. I've gone through that, like, making brands 6 to 8 figures, but then struggling massively financially and with worthiness and figuring it out, underestimating the time, all the underestimating the workload, all the things with my vision and mission. At the same time, I understand that fundamentally, with having come from a corporate background and dealing with contracts that were 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million dollars, with oil and gas companies, with consulting companies, working with PwC, finding $10 million in fraud alone, working with a, $500 million company, working with private equity, helping companies go public. So I get that. And it cracks me up that it took me several years to get that, to even start developing, millions in funnels, which, side note, and now really focusing on conversions. Definitely, if you haven't checked out my lessons learned from losing millions of dollars, go check that out on the channel. You'll find it easier on YouTube because on iTunes it's not really searchable. On Spotify it might be. Side note. So, 7 ways to create content. Bali is not just a destination, it's a paradise. Whether you are blogging, vlogging, podcasting, automating, scaling, lining up your launches like a boss. This island helps you create content like a boss while living and creating your dream life. And I'm marinating on having Bali as a base, setting up bamboo places here, a home slash retreat center, but then also having a base in California and or in Vegas, because I also recognize the energy of different places and cities and the spirit of a place. And obviously these 7 ways to create content like a boss isn't solely for Bali. Like, you can leverage and create this content like a boss anywhere you are in the world. So if you want to unlock the ultimate content creation, definitely check out my Bali guide, my top 10 Bali guide, as well as my top 10 Bali guide on my Shopify store, Creator Bestie. I'm also on Etsy, my creator templates I mentioned, the workshops, and creator retreats and in paradise. Share this post, this episode, this podcast, tag me on Instagram stories at Katrina Julia Fit, and or DM me for more goodies for gifts with the Creator Toolkit. And as always, remember, create, transform, and inspire, because you are born to.
So line up and launch like a boss. As you are exploring and as you are creating these 7 ways to create content like a boss, and easily and effortlessly you can start to flow from blogs to long form videos to short form videos to podcasting in paradise to aligning and creating your content with AI and with IO, so that you save hours, days, weeks to create content, and then you can line it up to launch with your content, with your courses, so that brands see you and brands start to recognize that you can create incredible content with your community and within real life events, like my creator experiences in Bali, from co-work to the experience to content to pop-ups, and of course the Love, Create, Play creator retreats. So definitely check those out down below. Hit that subscribe button, comment, let me know what type of content are you creating next, and let's create it.